What's up guys, Rainer here, back again. Today, Guan Yu, one of my favorite warriors from the early days of Smite. Now, he's kind of fallen out of favor in the mainstream, but you can still have a lot of fun with Guan Yu in the arenas and Assault. He's just really tough to play in Conquest right now, especially in a solo role, how I used to play him. So I don't give him a lot of love anymore. I'm rocking the Master Guan Fu skin here, which I like the skin. It could be better, but this is the first skin that I actually bought in Smite, fun fact. Let's get into his kit here real fast before we move into some general discussion on Guan. His passive is Painless. Every time he takes damage, it adds a stack into his Painless. You can see it above there, it's a pool of blood. Once the pool of blood fills, let's get it right here. Each time he gets damaged, his Conviction ability will heal more, maxing out at double. And he takes it's 20 hits to max it out. So you can see I'm putting on the pressure on Nuwa and Bakasura. I ended up managing to take them both down for a double kill early on. This is where Guan Yu is strong. He's very, very strong in the early game. He has really good wave clear early on, thanks to his 3. We'll get to that in a second. Back to his abilities. His 1, Conviction, it's his AoE heal. Maxes out at about 170 healing, which you can double to 340 with Conviction, or Painless. His 2, Warrior's Will. There it was right there. He dashes forward, dealing damage to his opponents, maxing out at about 300 damage plus 50%. Of your physical power. It slows your opponent down by 20%, and it slows them for 2 seconds. It also reduces armor, I think. I'm fairly sure. I don't know. I'm trying to read fast here because we got to get to the next one. The most important one, Taolo Assault, is 3. You've seen me use it a couple of times already. It's my favorite ability to use with Guan. You drop his 3 down, Taolo Assault, it maxes out at about 55 damage per hit. And I have no idea how many hits it really is, but it's a lot. I mean, look at this thing. You can just see all the hits pouring off of him there. It's excellent at wave clear. When you hit your enemies with it, it takes their protections as well, maxing out at 10 protections stolen with a maximum of 3 stacks. And he gains protections as well based on how much damage he does. He keeps those protections for 3 seconds. Then his ultimate cavalry charge has the escalation perk to it. He jumps up onto his horse and rides around. I'm sure you've seen him use it before. If you've not, you'll see it soon. We're closing in on it in that usefulness. I'm desperately trying not to die here. Here you see I turned on this full health Ao because, or Kuko Khan, I guess, and almost take him out. Ymir comes in and finishes him off with 1 shot and move on. So his cavalry charge is his ultimate. He jumps up onto the horse for 4 seconds. You can swing your attack once every 4 seconds. The final attack will stun any enemies in the duration. Any enemies hit by his first 3 will have escalation applied to them, which increases the damage by 20% for every time he hits. So if you hit somebody 3 times, that 3rd hit does 40%, and then the 4th hit does 60% more. Anytime you hit there's cavalry charge. Anytime you hit somebody, they are slowed. And then they're slowed by 25% for 2 seconds. And then their final hit will, when he leaps off the horse, will stun the opponent. And the stun lasts for a second and a half. The damage is about 175 per hit, plus 30% of your physical power. He also has a very good auto attack cycle. His 3rd... Wait, hang on. 1, 2, 3. His 4th auto attack hits for AoE damage. So don't be worried about hitting with your autos too, because you do very good damage with that. Next, let's move on to a build. If you want to play Guan Yu in solo lane, which I think he's the best at, I've seen people recently like to play him support. If they play him at all, I hate Guan Yu support. There's just so many better options. He's too aggressive to be really effective as a support role. You have to kind of play really on the front lines to be effective. And while you will shut down your opponent's early game, because he does really good damage, the late game is where he falls off, and they'll just be able to crush you real hard. So his build, I would start off with Ninja Tabi and Death's Toll, because it's going to help you with your early lane clear and movement speed. I would move to Sovereignty next, because you're going to need the protections for yourself. And your team fights where you're really going to be strong. He's got good initiation with Cavalry Charge. He's got good healing with his Conviction. He's very good at team fights. He's not great with solo lane. That's where he's definitely his weakest. Moving up from Sovereignty, you're going to want Stone of Gaia, because he's I don't know how he stacks as far as like strength, but he doesn't last particularly long in straight up fights. I mean, you saw me fight that Kukulkan earlier, and I did fairly well. He still managed to drop me, but I managed to take him. But it's always good to have those extra protections. Jotunn's Wrath to give you some extra penetrations, and then also to help with your cooldowns. His cooldowns aren't bad. He's got really reasonable cooldowns as it stands, but this will just help you be a little bit more effective with it. And then finally Magis Blessing, because CC is just, it's the bane of Guan Yu. He's only got 2 escapes, really, if you count his ultimate. And then his other one would be the Warrior's Will. And the Warrior's Will is not great. It's okay. But CC will just destroy any chance you have of getting away. He doesn't have a flip, and his dash isn't particularly good. It's about as good as one of Nemesis's dashes, just one of the segments. So as we move on here in the video, we've reached the mid to late game where Guan Yu is definitely not at his peak. He has a lot of problems in this time period, just because enemies are starting to get more powerful and more bursty, and his heal really falls off, which is one of his biggest shortcomings. Is he really lacks sustain as far as like other warriors go. I mean, Hercules can heal himself throughout the entire game and just gets better at it. Hell's the same way. You see, I'm going up here against this Hell because she's the biggest threat in the arena for us to have to deal with. She can just keep her team at full health constantly. So I'm constantly trying to focus her down, and I have so much problem with it. I'm trying to work this Ares down. Managed to just barely pick him up, heal myself up from, you know, the grave, and managed to fall back as my team covers my retreat. But, I mean, he doesn't stack up particularly well against other solo laners. I would call him bottom tier of solo lane. And I don't think of it as me having a bias against Guan Yu. Guan Yu, I love Guan. I wish he was better. I really do. But, I mean, he's free. You know, I mean, Hyra isn't going to make any money if he's top tier and nobody's buying it. See, I just towered over that Ares again. And now I've desperately got to get out of here. I don't have quite as much support, and Hell's right on me this time. Desperately trying to keep myself alive as I run away, trying to get over here to my team who's fighting Ares again, or Bakasura again. They could have turned and, you know, helped pull Hell off, and I might have lived through that. When it comes to Guan Yu, the way that I would use Guan is when you're clearing waves, you're going to want to use Taulo Assault, and if you're playing solo, always buy Wrath of the Gods. Just because, or Hand of Gods, because Hog is just going to really help you with your minion camp clear and your minion clear early on. His early clear is not superb, but once you get a couple of points into Taulo, you'll be alright. He's really weak against burst mages, like Hebo and Hell for that matter. He doesn't have a particularly good sustain against any of those. Especially Hell. Hell's just straight better. He can heal his minions, but like his heal's really weak. So, I mean, you're going to have a lot of problems playing in the solo. If you're a new player to Smite, by all means play Guan, because Guan's very, very good against the early game gods. But if you're playing at a level 30, you know Guan's not as great as some of your other choices. He can also play a fairly decent jungle, if that's where you want to roll. He's almost better at jungle than he is at solo lane. But anyway, back to basic battle strategies. So use your Taolo Assault to clear wave. Don't really use it to harass early on because you don't want to have that unless you've got jungle or support. You don't want to really throw down because Guan's very mixed bag early on in the game. It's very 50-50. So until you're really good, you're going to have a lot of problems. You see, I'm just getting annihilated now. So, the way that you're going to want to play is you're going to use your Taolo Assault to clear waves, and when you want to harass, make sure you've got your Taolo Assault off of cooldown, and then when you want to engage with Warrior's Will or your Cavalry Charge. I like to save Cavalry Charge for team fights, but engage with either Warrior's Will or Taolo Assault, and then use basic attacks until your enemy goes to, like, escape. Once they're almost out of reach of your auto attacks, hit Taolo Assault, because Taolo Assault will slow them down as well, and it'll let you just stick to them a little harder. And you should have pretty good luck with that. If they're still high enough health that they can still escape, your Warriors will come off of cooldown before they can typically make it all the way back to tower. So you might be able to hit them again. It's just something that you can work with, because you're gonna need help with Guan. He's like I've been saying, he's not as top tier. He's not low tier, but he needs some love to get him back into the top. I mean, OG Guan Yu could solo lane with the best of them. His ultimate back in the old days was great. His cavalry charge just kind of changed that, because it was really powerful with his old kit. But that's neither here nor there. One other thing that's worth noting is Guan Yu is fairly mana hungry. So an optional item that you could definitely throw in there would be Transcendence. I like Transcendence on Guan. It's not the best thing you could possibly do. Oh, hang on. Lag set. Yep, and we're back. It's not the best option as far as Guan Yu goes, and I wouldn't call it necessary, but if you have mana problems, by all means, Transcendence is very viable. As far as that goes, that's really all I got. I hope you guys give Guan Yu a shot, unless you're rank 30 and already have Hercules. But he's my favorite Chinese god, hands down. And I really hope Hi-Rez gives him the buff that he deserves, because he's definitely a very fun god to play. He's very active. I mean, you use a lot of his abilities. He's a ton of fun to play. But as it stands, he's not particularly powerful at this point. That can always change in the future, and I hope it does. But anyway, I'm going to shut up. You guys can enjoy the final moments of this match. This has been Rainer. I'll see you next time.
Double kill! Nice job.